Another player tonight, I want to jump to Aaron on this. Scored his third goal in his last 3 Premier League games, his 4th goal in his last 5 matches. Rasmus Hojlund now really starting to step up in a Manchester United shirt.
Honestly, you could see it coming, though. His movement in the box is Cavani-esque. And that's high praise because, honestly, he just doesn't get the service. Our wingers are so selfish. And if they decided to look up, there was numerous times in the first half where Rashford could have put the ball in. Rasmus making that first near post run should have crossed, would have been scored. He's so clinical as well. You can see he gets half a chance and he's finishing it. Even the offside goal today.
Yes, no, I totally agree. I do. Neeks, I mean, how impressive have you been with him in this season and in recent weeks? Now the goals are coming.
I think, yeah, I've been happy with him all season. I think, as I mentioned earlier, when you're playing down that spine as a young and inexperienced player, there's going to be a lot of pressure on you. And his fault is not his own fault. Why has he been put in a position where, as an 18-year-old, he has to be the main guy for Man United? Because we didn't get a experienced striker like we really should have. And I think the reality is he was always going to get to a point where if he gets the service, he's going to score the goals. But the way we've been playing, we haven't been delivering, which has been heaping pressure and pressure. And I think it got to, I think it was maybe just after New Year. And I was just like, not that I was doubting him, but it was like, you know what? I can't keep defending you now. You actually have to score. Like, we've got no other option. You have to start delivering. And he started delivering. The goals started coming. And he's got 3 and 3. And I'm not surprised by it because you've seen those glimpses all throughout the season. Those runs, you're talking about the sharp runs, whether it's at the near post or he drops back, running the channels, always chasing down. He nearly got a goal from chasing down the keeper and with the block from the clearance. Yeah. And he's always showing the energy, always showing the effort. And you like that when a player's given that energy from start to finish, even if he doesn't finish every game, that the rewards come in the end. And I think we're starting to see it now. What we need is, as has been said, the players to see that when we create the chances, he's scoring. Nothing more demoralizing when you're creating chances for players and then missing. Now you know that he's going to score. You have to keep creating the chances. There was 2 this game. One, the first one when Rashford actually overhit it for the overlap for Luke Shaw, and Luke Shaw had to end up doing a cross to the back post. And then the goal that was scored, you saw he actually timed the pass or weighted the pass much better, and Shaw crosses it and he scores. And he's just getting those final passes, that final cross into the striker, because he's as much as he's got a bit, decent all-round game, he's a penalty box striker. He's gonna do his business inside the box. We need to get back to a position where we're creating chances for our striker inside the box, and they don't have to do a mazy run and jink past 1 and 2. No, we can't do that. We need to create the chances, and I think he's got all the attributes to deliver for Man United, so I'm happy for him as well.
Phil, do you echo that? Because of course rivals jumped on it and everyone seemed to ignore his Champions League form and they just focused on the Premier League. He's really, that's 11 goal contributions now for him this season. I thought his overall play has been really good this year. How much promise and hope do you have for this young striker?
I think the thing is, we saw it in the very first game when he came on. It was against Arsenal. He had about 10 minutes, something like that. And straight away, what he showed was he had strength. He wasn't just like, I've got to just score, I've got to score. It was what he can bring to the game as an overall, whether he's holding up the play, whether he's holding up the defence, whether he's chesting it off to somebody who's running onto it, whether he's heading it on, flicking it on, whatever it might be. He brings a lot more to his game than just the goals. And he's putting fear into the defence now. And whereas when we were making some opportunities in previous games where he wasn't quite getting in the position where the ball was coming in, he was like a bit behind it or a bit in front of it. But now he does seem to be finding the position, and that's going to come with time. And we know that he's a natural finisher. We're seeing that more and more. He's only a young lad. He's got so much of his game. He's got size, but what he's got most of all is passion. He puts that shirt on and he plays for the shirt, and that is something that we really need. Like Mainu, like Garnacho, they're the sort of players who are bringing it. And Hojlund himself is, I think, now he's got that monkey off his back, and he's got 3 goals in his last 3 games, and could have had more with a couple ruled offside and a couple of unlucky chances, sort of thing. He's definitely going in the right direction. He's just going to carry on from here, and he's got the belief now. You can see the difference. He's at first he was not doubting himself, but he's got that. I can score. I'm going to do it. I'm going to score. I'm going out there. You saw the goal in the cup in the week. What absolute leathered it into the back of the goal. Different types of goals are coming as well. They're not all the same. Tap-ins, winning it at the front post, headers, volleys, and absolute. He's got the whole thing. But we just need to have that little bit of support given to him. Crosses coming in, he'll get many goals.
He's a proper handful, isn't he?
He's
for the whole back line. Proper handful. You can see every time he gets the ball, he's backing into the players. So even on his debut, when he backed into Gabriel straight away, it was a proper fight.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need a handful. We've had Martial up top the entire time. He was ghost.
And the thing is, what we saw tonight as well, not only was Hojlund up front, we had 2 or 3 players in the box, which we've not had so much all season. We've so many times seen him isolated on his own, and all he needs is that one person around him who can get the little flick off, or they can play it to him, or he can just knock it off to them. We've been so isolated with fear of conceding at the back. We now need to believe in what we've got going forward, because we have got a lot, and if the more we show it. This is why we scored 4 goals today. We deserved that win, and we did not deserve to concede that penalty, because that was the weakest penalty I've seen for a long time, and that was shocking. And to get the win the way we did by that young lad in Fergie time was just
with Fergie in the crowd. Well.
My kid's in bed upstairs, and I couldn't hold the screaming. I'm normally like,
it was beautiful. It was beautiful to see the way it works. And I'm in someone. I didn't sell my stock in Rasmus. I criticised him where he needed to be criticised in the Luton game, even after scoring his first Prem goal. When you look at the Wigan game in the FA Cup, where he missed chances he should be converting.
Yeah.
But my view is, if we create 3 very good goal scoring opportunities per game for him, which I don't think is, and I don't mean tap-ins all the time, but like we did tonight, those cutbacks where he gets the chance. If we create 3 of them a game on average, that man is going to score a hell of a lot of goals for us. Yeah. And the Erling Haaland is so clinical, but at the same time, the volume of chances that he gets created for him helps him. If he was getting 1 clear-cut chance created for him once every 2 to 3 games, he'd never score 50+ goals in a season, because it would be almost impossible to. So we have to get that balance right. And I got the criticism that he was getting, but I felt it was a little bit unfair. And you saw it tonight, really, like the amount of times Rashford doesn't use Shaw on the overlap, but maybe because of the trouble that Rashford's been in, like, I'm keeping it simple, he used it. The first time we did it, we were close. Second time we did it, we scored. And we were all sitting there and just thinking, the amount of times in the last 2, 3, 4 seasons, we're just screaming, get to the byline and cut it back for tap-ins. We just don't do that enough. It's crazy how we just don't do it. And there's an irony to it. We can see most of our goals that bloody way as well. It's so frustrating that we're not doing it. So I was really happy with them both tonight. I did want to ask you, Nick, about Rashford. Of course, a lot of pressure on him tonight. A lot of people fuming when they saw the starting lineup. But I suppose he responded in exactly the right way.
Yeah, he had to score. He had to score, and he had to put in a performance. I think he was brilliant in the first half, personally. He wasn't really in the game in the second half. And as a winger, it can be tricky, because the game has to come to you a lot of the times, because you're playing out wide. Depending on what your role is, you don't necessarily want your winger coming inside to grab the ball to then start attacks. And yeah, the second half kind of passed him by. Probably until about midway, until I really was like, oh yeah, Rashford's still on the pitch. But first half, I think, he was very effective. As I say, he linked with Shaw down the overlap. Got obviously the first goal early, which he needed. Should he have played today? I think by playing him, Ten Hag potentially made a rod for his own back with everything that's happened this season. And it's like, oh, is he being more lenient over Rashford compared to, say, Sancho, or maybe plays in the past, Cristiano Ronaldo, whatever. But the fact that he then scores, and then everything that happened in the game after, I think it's one of the things that, okay, it's done, it's over, which I'm happy with. It should be, he was punished. He missed probably the game that he wanted to miss, so he probably wasn't that punished. But on paper, he was punished. He got fined. He's back in the team. He took responsibility, as was said, back in the team, and he has to deliver. Not only did he score and play well, I think what I saw from him today is something that you haven't really seen from Rashford, especially this season, the tracking back. He was actually getting back, working hard. And I've seen some games even at Old Trafford this season. I'm like, this guy's walking. And he was dropped from the team, rightly so. He had to be dropped. unfortunately, we don't have many options to do better than him. But today, it's like he had a point to prove. He had to prove that he deserved to be on the pitch. And he did that, especially in the first half. Now, you hope that it don't just take a punishment, 1 week of misdemeanor for him to put up a performance. What's he going to do in the next game? Is he going to go back to his normal self? We have to wait and see. But if we see more to Rashford today for the rest of the season and going forward, then no, I won't be selling him in the summer like some people are saying. Unless, of course, he asks to leave, then I don't want to keep any player against their will.
Phil, I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said there, Neeks. He has responded tonight. It just shows that Rashford's issues, maybe along with a lot of other players at this club, is more their mentality as opposed to their ability.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think it was right to play Rashford, because one of the things I was saying to someone was it's an away game and all your fans are behind the team. Whereas at home, you might have got a few boos and sort of thing, because you've got a much bigger, a much captive audience. You've got a lot more kids and stuff like that sort of thing. But you've got the sort of sensible guys who go to the away games who are going to get behind the team all the way. And I think that was a very smart move by Ten Hag. And he was bold. He said in the press, the difference between him and Sancho is that Sancho's come out and made it public. Rashford's being seen on that video, someone saying, put your video away, you'll get him in trouble sort of thing. They didn't want to make it a public thing. It's been dealt with. He's moved on, and everyone's saying, do your talking on the pitch. One game out the way, one goal, one good performance, as Meek said in the first half. Absolutely fantastic. Second half, he did go missing, but I don't think that was his fault. I think it was just the way that Wolves changed their style of play. Something had to happen at half-time because they were getting overrun. They were playing really high. Rashford was getting in all the time down the left side. So they changed their style of play, which I think made that, and they played a lot higher and put a lot higher press on us. I think in terms of mentality, I think obviously, Rashford's thing from last season, he seems to have forgotten that. And I think it would have been wrong to sort of celebrate like that tonight, because if he scored, whatever celebration he did, there's going to be some abuse for him. If he doesn't celebrate, he gets abused for not celebrating. If he celebrates with this, it's like, get lost, you're not back there yet sort of thing. If he celebrates with an apology to the crowd, it's like, do your talking on the pitch, don't apologise now, stop making problems sort of thing. So he's in a lose-lose situation at the moment. All he can do is keep performing the way he is, and as you say, tracking back, making those tackles, giving his all for the team while he's on the pitch. And stop getting in trouble off the pitch. Just keep his nose clean for a bit and just get out there, sort that mentality out. And hopefully by the end of the season, we're seeing that he's back scoring amongst the goals. He's back celebrating with the belief that he's concentrating again, and it's in the mind sort of thing.
From your point of view, Aaron, do you still see a future at the club for Rashford, or do you feel as though maybe there's been too much water under the bridge?
Oh, definitely. Nah, he's manked through and through, so I think he's just got to take his chance. He's got to keep his head down. He's got to perform on the pitch. And to be fair, today, his first half was good. He was kind of out of the game in the second half due to, Wolves changing their tactics. But I thought he was very direct. He was using Shaw on the overlap very well. And 2 goals came from it. He scored. Pretty good. That's all I can ask for, really. If a bid did come in from PSG, like there's rumours going around saying, not unless he wants to leave. I think he should stay at the club.
Yeah, listen, I stand by what I've been saying the last few weeks. I feel like there may need to be, to completely fix our culture at the club, there may need to be a sacrificial lamb or two. However, I will trust the thematic review that the new owners are doing. If they decide, actually, we spoke to Rashford, we spoke to his people, and we believe it's still going to be 2 hit and miss, we're moving him on, I'm just going to go, okay, we've been asking for big change. And sometimes within big change, one thing I don't like about a lot of football fans is they ask for big change, or they ask, we see this all the time at Man United, I want my new manager to be ruthless. But when he's ruthless to players they love, oh, hang on, he's a bully. For me, I'm going to put aside players that I want to deliver here more so than others, players I have a preference for. I'm just going to look at it and say, if the new ownership look at it and say, if Omar Barada looks at it and says, yeah, listen, I've been around great mentality and bad mentality, and I'm telling you, this guy's not right, I'm going to back it. But if he does turn it around and he can get back to his consistent best, as long as Man United improve, I'm happy. It's not about me getting what I want personally on individual matters. It's the club getting back to where I want it to be, which I personally think is the most important element. But he had to deliver tonight, and he did. And I've been saying for years, Neeks, we've done streams for so long. Whenever we rip into this squad, of course, there are some players that lack the ability to be where we want to be. McTominay would be a prime example. Does come up with some important goals, but he can never do in midfield what Mainu does. And we've been asking for players like Mainu's technical ability for years. However, I still feel that overall it's been our mentality and our culture at the club that hurts us so much more than the ability of individual players. Because tonight, we were in shape, we were resolute, we passed and moved the ball well. And although it only ended up 4-3, I still think that scoreline flatters Wolves for the large part of that game. So we demonstrated tonight we can do it. Now, what you need to be able to do is have the mentality to be able to do that week in, week out, and then build up more resilience and confidence in delivering against it. And then you won't have those mini collapse within games as an example. So, look, I hope Rashford can turn it around. I hope the new owners can come in and really get us kind of grounded. And I know there's a lot of comparisons to the Sancho thing. And look, Ten Hag made it public first. Sancho responded in public. I think the biggest difference between the two is I think Sancho, rightly or wrongly, depending on what side you look at it, I don't think he had any desire to resolve the issue. Because if he really wanted to be here, because I think the manager would have played him again. But and that's his decision and fair play. We move on from that. Do you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. We see it again in the summer.